go. What's going on, party people? Let me hear you make some noise in the chat. Surprise, surprise. J-Bait. What's good, Kaylin D? Boss? Brock? We'll talk about it in just a second. We're going to talk about all the things, how I'm feeling, what I'm reading, what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing. Some of it's just going to be opinion-based. Some of it's going to be actually word of mouth. But Alabama just wrapped up its second official visit weekend of the summer. A lot of big, crazy names were on campus this weekend. A lot of big, crazy targets for Alabama were on campus and other places. We're going to talk about that. This is mostly just something we're doing on the whim. This isn't planned, so this is going to be off the top of my noggin. But as always, to get the most out of your experience, we need you to share. Share, more subs, you do that, more people, more shows. More money. You know the drill. Just so please subscribe, hit the notification bell if this is your first time here. If you've been here 1,000 times and still haven't done that, I don't know what you're doing with your life, but do it. We're going to talk some recruiting. I know you guys absolutely love that. Logan, what's going on? How many 5-stars did? We're going to get to all these questions. These are great questions. Put your questions in the chat tonight. This is, like I said, this is mostly going to be your show. It's going to be run by you, what you want to talk about, what you want to hear. I'll give you my opinion. It is not gospel, as always, but I'll do my best to talk you through what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what I'm feeling in terms of recruiting. Alabama hosted another loaded group of individuals in Tuscaloosa this weekend, much like they did last weekend. We can start with last weekend, I think, first, because a lot of those guys are visiting other places. The most notable one, the one that's been kind of all over the place today on social media, is 5-star wide receiver Sadarian Morgan. Morgan visited the University of Florida. Now, some words came out almost immediately on his visit that he really enjoyed it, and Florida is either 1 or 2 in his recruitment right now. I want you to keep in mind that when this is said, he's still on campus. Also, those words were cherry-picked because Florida, or On3, who was the one who published Sadarian Morgan saying that, knew that they had 2 commitments coming from the University of Florida later in the day. They wanted to build that suspense around Sadarian Morgan so that Florida fans would interact more on social media with those 2 commitments that they had later in the day, neither of which ended up being 5-star wide receiver Sadarian Morgan, because he will take an official visit to Auburn next weekend. And then the coup de grace, he'll be in Tuscaloosa. We tell you all the time in this world to follow the visits with guys like Sadarian Morgan, Xavier Crowell. The last visit's at Bama, baby. That's all I'm saying. So I feel very confident in those 2 guys ending up with the Tide around 80% in those whoops that we have. Speaking of which, we have a new whoop on board. Here is our current whoop board. For those of you who don't know, whoop is a Waaaay Offsides official prediction. These are the 4. Oh, I don't have the new one uploaded. Let me fix that for you really quick while we're talking. But these are the Waaaay Offsides official prediction board. This shows you who we have predicted to land at Alabama. And yesterday evening, we actually added a name to the board. So we actually have 5 players right now predicted to Alabama with enough confidence to put in a legitimate prediction for these individuals. We do this in various ways. Sometimes, I mean, I'm not going to bullcrap you. Sometimes it's because they're getting a lot of smoke from On3. Sometimes it's because we have people in our ear. It just depends. But here's the updated whoop chart. And there he is, Sam Utu. 4-star interior offensive lineman. We put in a Waaaay Offsides official prediction for him last night, way before On3 did, to be fair. You can check out the video. We're talking about him, his size. This is a big dude, big get, Polynesian. The Tagovailoa family was actually involved in his recruitment, as well as Malachi Lee, who is somebody that visited last weekend that I think you should definitely be watching moving forward. USC is the team to beat for Malachi Lee, but Sam Utu will likely wind up with the Tide in Tuscaloosa. Very big get. turning down. You never turn down an offensive lineman just because of the nature of that position. Now, what's really interesting about Utu, and we talked about this in another video that I posted earlier today, is Utu is multi-positional. So you can pretty much pick him up and insert him anywhere on the offensive line, including at center. He's well-versed at guard, tackle, center. So really versatile player and a great piece to add to Alabama's offensive line going into 2026. So we're looking forward to that. Really excited. I would imagine that commitment may have already happened behind closed doors, or it could be coming any day now. But definitely somebody we're very high on in terms of Alabama landing. Well, let's go to the comments. We've got folks asking comments all over the place. Ty, J-Bake, as always. If J-Bake wasn't here, it just wouldn't be Waaaay Offsides, would it? Lance, we see you. All right, let's get to the top here. Let's answer some questions. Let's start with Logan. Logan Durham. How many 5 stars do you realistically see Alabama landing in this class? I think Alabama will get a commitment from at least 5 stars, potentially 6, and there is a slim chance even 7. Do they sign all of those? I don't know. That's the tricky part, is getting that verbal commitment, and then you got to hold on to these kids. We saw this with some guys last year, Ty Haywood, Caleb Cunningham. You get the verbals from them, and then, Caleb Cunningham goes and visits Ole Miss, and then before you know it, poof, he's flipping. Ty Haywood just flips. He never even visits Michigan and just flips because of a bag. So it's a little iffy. I think realistically, Bama's going to sign 5. I think there's the potential for 6 or 5. I think 4 of those guys right off the top are going to be obviously Jordan Edmonds. Let's go back to our Woot board so I can show you and make sure I get everybody in here. I got to get your comment off of here, Lance. Oh my gosh, where is it? There we go. Sorry. I need Jeff in here. Jordan Edmonds, 5-star DB. Xavier Kroll. Some recruiting agencies still have him as a 4-star. He's going to be a 5-star everywhere before it's all said and done. 5-star wide receiver Cedarian Morgan, 5-star linebacker Xavier Griffin, who was in Tuscaloosa this weekend. And so there's 4 of them right off the bat. And I've been pretty adamant talking in videos. Typically what will happen is you'll get this reevaluation in the fall. And I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of guys who are committed to Alabama by then, or who are already committed, get bumped up to a 5-star, and then Bama potentially land a couple of 5 stars before then. I do think that there are some who have visited last weekend and this weekend who Alabama's in really, really good shape for. One of those that visited this weekend that everybody's talking about is Jaira Edwards. It seems like Alabama is in good position, good standing with him, as well as Jet Washington. I am of the thought that they do not land them both. I'm not saying they can't. I just don't think they land them both. The predictions I've seen kind of forecasting that safety position, it looks like Bama stands a better chance of getting 5-star safety Jaira Edwards. So we'll see. He had a great visit. His family was actually texting. I think he's got a younger brother or sister that was texting with Andrew Bone going, hey, this is an amazing visit. We've had a blast this visit. This has been one of the best visits yet, blah, blah, blah. So we'll see how it goes. We're not at the end of this thing with official visit season, so anything can happen. But Jaira Edwards is somebody I want you to keep an eye on moving forward. Somebody who I think Bama could land that visited last week and that I want you to keep an eye on moving forward, who I think he's right now he's a 4-star, but I think he'll be one of the ones to get that 5 bump in the fall, is Boobie Feaster. Feaster was out at USC today. On3 did exactly what they did with the Florida commits. They hyped up Boobie Feaster all day at USC, and then boom, there's a recruit committing. Everybody thinks it's going to be Boobie Feaster, and of course it's not. It's Dreyer, and so that's just kind of that's their method, man. So I don't necessarily think there's a lot of integrity with that, but it gets clicks, and so I guess that's what they're trying to do. But in that sense, I just watched Boobie Feaster going forward. I think Bama's going to land 2 or 3 wide receivers in this class. Obviously, the most coveted one is 5-star Cedarian Morgan, who, although may have had a great visit to Florida this weekend, he's going to visit Alabama last. I really think it's between Alabama and Auburn, and Alabama is the heavy favorite right now for Cedarian Morgan. So, chat, let's see. What other questions do we have? That's a great question there, Lance. I like it. We're talking about Brock. I'm assuming we're talking about Xavier Griffin. Xavier Griffin had a great visit, a fantastic visit. Something I like to do when I look at these visit photos is I like to compare them to what they look like on the other visits. I'm sure you all do the exact same thing. Oh, he doesn't look like he's having a good time, blah, blah, blah. There's a video of Booby Feaster coming in to USC today, and they post it, and they're like, Booby Feaster shows up to USC official visit, and you see him ask somebody, like, where do I go? And he just looks confused. That's all it is. It's a video of him not knowing where to go, but they were hyping it up, you know. So I like looking into those kind of things. So I don't think he's going to go to Florida, man. I don't think you need to worry about Sadarian Morgan at Florida. But Texas is a real player. Texas and Ohio State are real players in Xavier Griffin. I think that the thought there is that Bama was in a really good position with Xavier Griffin. With our Whoop board of the guys that are whooped, Xavier Griffin is the one that I'm least confident about. For those of you that are part of our X chat, you know, everybody's like, no, it's a given. Griffin's going. I'm like, I want to wait until he gets his Texas visit out of the way. A couple minutes later, Fong drops the freaking Fong bomb on him. I'm like, all right, I guess we'll put in a prediction too. It's not my most confident pick, but I think he had a really, really good visit today. What's interesting to me, the way Alabama's approaching recruiting, and I've done videos on this too, so if you're not watching them, I'll know. What's interesting is that Alabama's using a lot of their younger talent to do some of the recruiting with them. And I think that's good because it resonates well with this generation of player as well. These kids are understanding, like, this is Kalen DeBoer's team now. This isn't Nick Saban doing this. This is Kalen DeBoer. And so I think Alabama's still in really good position. If he's chasing a bag, Texas can pretty much throw whatever they want at him but I think his commitment date is right before July 1st. So, you know, we'll see. And then he's going to go down to FSU. Everybody's kind of written off FSU in his recruitment, but FSU's going to throw a bag too. So we'll see. I do think he's got family in Tuscaloosa. He grew up a Bama fan. He literally posted a video or a picture of him today on his visit, and he put Bama raised over the top. I think Griffin right now, the favorite in the driver's seat is still Alabama, but I do think it's closing in Texas and potentially Ohio State. Now, here's the thing. Even if he comes out later in June and commits to Alabama, can Bama hold on to him throughout the fall? I hope so. Ty. Yes, it is Waaaay Offsides official prediction. And yes, it is a play on Whoop. There it is. So thank you. Brock, who are you talking about, man? Who's coming soon? Lance. That's an interesting thought. Long term, I don't disagree with you, but I think I like Billy Napier, but Steve Sarkisian is a way better head coach. I mean, he just is. And then, so I you know, Urban Meyer's not at Florida anymore, man. So, let's see what else we got. How many do you realistically see? Signing. We already talked about that. Probably 4 or 5. So, yes, Lance, that's true. DeAndre Washington. I'm more focused on the D-line in this class. We have some pretty good depth at other positions. Yeah, we've been talking about this for months, man. Linebacker, D-line, edge. Those are where we really wanted to see Alabama beef it up. Well, I will tell you guys, I'll share with you some news. I just posted a short, and it's pretty cool. So, Kamarion Matthews was on campus this weekend. Why does that matter? Cotton. Well, hold on. Or excuse me, Kamarion Johnson. I was thinking Jamarian Matthews, Kamarion Johnson. Sorry. Kamarion Johnson was on campus this weekend, the defensive lineman out of Muscle Shoals. Now, the two biggest involved with him were Ole Miss, Auburn, Alabama. He has an official visit. It looks like, oh, goodness gracious. Coming up, but anyway, it looks like he is canceling some of his official visits. He does have one still with Miami. He's going to plan on still taking that one, so we'll see what happens. But the one, I think he had one set up for Auburn on the 10th. Yeah, he's canceled that one. It looks like he's canceled Ole Miss. He's keeping the Miami one for now. There's a chance that he may cancel that one and be a lock for Bama. That is 4-star defensive lineman Kamarion Johnson. He's out of Muscle Shoals. Big get. You've seen him, Jamarian Matthews, a lot together. Actually, they posted a lot of photos together with Xavier Griffin. So somebody to keep an eye on. I think Alabama is definitely understands. If we see it, then they see it. They know that they need to build some beef at that position. I think that's going to be the primary focus. That they love getting defensive backs now at Alabama, which Nick Saban did too. And then obviously they're going to bring in a couple wide receivers, potentially running back, and then a couple of other pieces here or there. But this should be a pretty good class. Sam, I think any day now, to be honest with you, any day now. So, so just it's been a crazy weekend. Caden Prothrow was on campus. The tight end. I don't see much movement there. I don't know that Alabama's going to move the needle much there. I think he's kind of a Georgia guy. So, but I think most people knew that going into this weekend. What I'm interested from you, chat, is assuming Alabama can either get Jet Washington or Edwards. Who do you think? Who do you think it should be? Who do you want to see? I think their size difference. I think Jet's a little bit bigger, but Gerard Edwards is. I mean, he's a talented dude. So I would like to see what you guys think there in terms of who Bama's going to pick up, or who would you like to see him pick up at that position. So, and then of course, if you got any questions, tell me. In the meantime, if you are not subbed, please do so. Bill currently is locked up in a basement. We're not going to let him out until you guys hit an unspecified amount of subs. So make sure you're subscribing, doing all the things. I'll be honest, man, I've been on top of this recruiting stuff the past few weeks. Talking to people. I'm J-Bait can tell you, man, I've been in the chat. We're just talking recruiting. If I don't know, I'm asking questions to other people to try to figure it out. So I've got ton of stuff coming out this week to talk about recruiting. Not just that, we're starting to shift our focus towards the season a little bit. So please subscribe, stick around, don't go anywhere. Still think it ends up being Jet. Beyond happy with me too, J-Bake. It's a win either way. Best case scenario is Bama would land both guys. I don't see that happening. I'm interested to see how Alabama's approaching this NIL. I've heard through the grapevine that Bama's being a little more aggressive with their NIL this year. Why not be with the new house settlement and, how they can pay players via the school? Maybe there's technically a cap on that. So I would be I'm interested to see how Bama approaches that. And then they're so stacked at the DB position. I would really like to see them spend some money somewhere else at the edge position. Don't forget, there's a couple of guys from last weekend that you want to keep an eye on as well. Nolan Wilson, Titan Davis. I believe Titan Davis pretty much came out and said he's going to take his Michigan visit, and that's it. He's not taking any other visits. It's going to be between Alabama and Michigan. We all know Michigan is an NIL priority school. Just so you guys know, if I call somebody an NIL priority school, it means that NIL is their primary recruiting tool that they use. Auburn, Ole Miss, Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan. Maybe not Ohio State. Florida is becoming a big NIL priority school. So schools like that. So, but I don't think either way, man. I just feel like it's a win for Bama. I know that people are kind of getting impatient because you're seeing these commitments across the board, other places. I've seen some people today kind of, I'm starting to worry about this recruiting class not coming together, blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind that a lot of the people who are verbals right now aren't going to sign with the school that they're verbals to. And I sound like Jeff. I know it. I know I sound like Jeff, but honestly, they're not going to. There is a long way to go until December, a very, very long way. We saw it last year. It got really nasty about 2-3 weeks into November. LSU got poached there at the end. You had guys going to schools or committing to schools, flipping and committing to schools that they'd never even visited. It got to be a mess, and that's going to happen again. So just prepare yourselves. Keep in mind, it's going to happen in Alabama again. I don't know who it's going to be, but there's going to be somebody who's going to verbally commit. So you have to ask yourself, do you want to see a guy who's going to go through these visits and actually pick something they're a little more confident in? Because that pick may mean, that selection, that commitment may mean more than the guy who just emotionally commits someplace because he's on a visit there and got a cookie cake and maybe some other kind of cookie cake. You know what I mean? So, roll tide, Tay-Tac. How you doing, man? Thanks for stopping in, or ma'am, I should say. So Alabama's doing exactly what they're supposed to do in terms of recruiting. The summertime is to influence the decision that comes later. Also, keep in mind, a lot of Bama's targets have commitment dates already set and coming up in the next coming weeks. Xavier Crowell, Cedarian Morgan, Booby Feaster. A lot of these guys have Xavier Griffin. A lot of them have legitimate commitment dates coming up. Also, somebody to talk about, Jordan Edmonds. He was on campus this weekend. He's already a verbal to Alabama. It sounds like Edmonds is pretty much going to probably shut his recruitment down here very soon. I saw that somewhere. He's going to be, he's locked in. He's not going anywhere else. Somebody else to talk about that visited elsewhere was Alabama's first commit of the 2026 cycle, Zion Gibson. He was at Ole Miss. I don't think there's anything to worry about there. You have to also remember that some of these universities are paying for these kids to come visit. Legitimately, they're paying for commitments. They're paying for social media posts. They're paying for visits. They really are, because the exposure helps. So, Brian Williams, interesting. Yeah. 3-star wide receiver, Brian Williams. I watched a little bit. He's out of Florida on him. I really do think he's going to end up being a Florida guy. Florida's getting a lot of wide receivers, and none of them are named Cedarian Morgan. But either way, I think DeBoer has a type. Ryan Grubb, they have a type at receiver, don't you? Like these big, long, tall guys with a lot of reach. Derek Meadows prototype. So I think this is the kind of guy we want to watch moving forward. Big body wide receiver, long, tall. What is he, like 6'3", something like that? And so I have watched his tape. He's actually pretty good. I think he's an underrated player. I think his visit to Bama will put him on a lot of people's radar moving forward. I think Florida will probably cut him a check. So 6'4", yeah. Well, Lance, it actually has. I disagree with this. I think it has helped them. It hasn't helped them win anything, but in terms of recruiting, it does. But what it doesn't help them do is maintain the recruits. But I'm also of the philosophy that you cannot build a team long-term success as an NIL priority school. You just can't. It doesn't work. There's too many me's in the locker room. It does not translate. You have to build like a galvanized mentality, almost like a hive mind in the locker room. And it's impossible to do that when you've got millionaires playing. There's a lot of college coaches who don't like coaching who have coached in the NFL who chose not to do that anymore, because it's almost in some sense an impossible coaching job because you're dealing with millionaires. That has now trickled down into college football. So if your whole roster is built like that, getting somebody to get off their tail. Look at what Nico did to Tennessee, man. The holding out and stuff like that. Like that's insane, dude. It's really hard for a team to have long-term success. 2 years ago, FSU built everything they did as an NIL priority school. What happened last year? They were trash, man. They were absolutely trash. Wait, if I gave them $5 million, no, I wouldn't be happy. Absolutely not. I think maybe I'm not understanding your point, Lance, but maybe it's that the money will dry up at some point in time if they're not winning. Maybe is that what you're getting at? Yes. Yes. You got to have a culture, man. You got to have a culture. And that's what I like about what Alabama's doing right now. It feels a little bit different. There's this team approach to everything they're doing. Recruiting. You see, dude, has anybody seen the images of Xavier Griffin today on campus? Camarion Johnson, Jamarian Matthews, these guys on campus today. There were like 40 current players there. Dude, freaking guess Xavier Griffin comes from Gainesville, right? He's out of Gainesville, Georgia, Gainesville High School. You know who else played at Gainesville High School? Blake Sims. You know who was there recruiting him today? Blake freaking Sims. Like, it's crazy. That's the culture at Alabama, man. And not only that, a really good question got asked in our chat. Is Alabama the only school that does like recruiting of the parents and things like that? No, but Alabama puts it at the forefront of their recruiting, and I think that pays off big time. That's why last year we thought for a long time, as did other people, that Bama was going to land Justice Terry, because his mother came off that summer visit, that cold summer visit, and was like, yes, this is the place. This is absolutely the place. We thought, well, she didn't say those words exactly, but we thought it was a lock. And then obviously Texas threw some bags around. So I will say the Xavier Griffin situation makes me feel a little bit like that. So keep an eye on it. But yes, Lance, they do. Absolutely. Did anybody else see Oregon's recruiting photos? What do you think about those? The mutagen, the toxin, the guy in the biohazard suit. I don't know how I feel about it. They were better than Auburn's. Way better than Auburn's. Anything of Max Sutter? No, they haven't. I think Bama's. They're prioritizing Xavier Tiller, so, which is fine. Look, here's the thing: when we see tight ends, when we hear tight ends, we think about what Georgia did with Brock Bowers. Alabama's not going to use tight ends like that. They'll throw to tight ends, but moving forward, if you're a tight end in Alabama, you're going to be blocking primarily. Now, I will say there were some times last year where guys like Cuevas and stuff bailed Jalen Milroe out, but I don't think there's going to be a lot of stuff designed and drawn up to go to the tight end. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. Tell me if I am. That's okay. So, and then they decommit 14 days later, Lance. Oh yeah. It's a little off-putting. So, anybody else you want to talk about before we hop off of here? I'm not going to stay on long tonight. It's Sunday night. You got to get ready for Monday. But anybody you're feeling uncomfortable with right now, like, hey, maybe we're not in as good a position as I thought we were. Can I put your worries to bed? How can I help you? Tell me. Talk to Dr. Cotton. I think, we talked about this a little while ago, about 20 minutes ago. Malachi Lee is somebody I definitely want you to watch. The Tagovailoas are heavily involved in his recruitment. He is not predicted, but he's favored. He's RPM towards USC right now, but I think Alabama might be in the driver's seat here. And I think that's something that could be coming sooner rather than later. Anybody? Speak now or forever hold your peace. Anybody? What else are we talking about? It's your show, guys. Tell me what you want to talk about. I know you guys love recruiting, so tell me who we're talking about, and we'll talk about them. Dude, I don't even like talking about the 2027 guys yet. Like, it trips me out seeing some of these 2027 guys giving verbal commitments. I saw somebody yesterday verbally commit to Georgia, 2027 guy. I'm like, all right, man, just pump the brakes a little bit, kid. I mean, I get it. They get excited, and I understand, but, whatever. Do you, Tim? Tell me why. I do too. Don't get me wrong, man. I am not saying that Bama's not the favored program to get Griffin. I'm just trying to temper your expectations. I think that if it comes down to an NIL battle, Bama's not going to get it. And I don't know much about Griffin's recruitment in the NIL sense, except that he committed originally to USC. Why would he commit to USC? So if he's looking for a bag, Alabama could be outbid on him. But it's hard to imagine Bama being a finalist if he's looking for a bag. Usually, if NIL is the driving factor of their recruitment, Alabama's not going to make that final list. There's a lot of folks out there. We say this all the time. You can literally look at their final school list and tell what the driving factor in their recruitment is. If it's NIL, it's going to be Auburn, Oregon, Ole Miss, Florida, maybe Penn State, places like that. I don't know, man. Bama's going to get him on campus. He is RPM'd barely to Alabama right now. The thing about Tank is he is being really quiet about his very, very quiet about his recruitment, which is fine. That's 100% fine. And look, Auburn's going to get somebody. Like, Alabama's not going to win every in-state battle against Auburn. What you want is for Alabama to win the majority of them, and you want them to win the higher-rated players. They look like they're going to do that. I would love for Alabama to get Tank Jones. I think that they have the best shot right now to land him. I will say Chris, Waaaay Offsides Chris, who is on a lot of our Thursday Night Lives, Chris has some ends down there at St. Paul's. He was actually there a couple days ago watching some practice stuff, but a lot of people that are close to that situation feel like it's Bama's to lose, but just based off of what I've seen, it's pretty close. I think he will he take an official visit? When let's look that up. When is his official visit? Anthony Jones. Excuse me, guys. His last Alabama will be the last visit he takes. He already took an official to Auburn back in May. He has taken a lot of dang unofficial visits. He was at Texas A&M this weekend. He's going to be at Oregon next weekend, and then Bama. I tell you all the time, follow the visits. Follow the visits. Yeah. So I think it is heavy on Bama right now, guys. So we'll see how it goes. Things are always fluid in recruiting. It's just the nature of the sport, man. Just the nature of the sport. Are you talking about Trent? Yeah, Trent Seaborn. He's 2027. 2027. So Brandon Arrington. Arrington was at Oregon this weekend. I don't know, man. I feel like Bama's got. I mean, they're in it, right? He's gonna take that visit, I believe. Let me look. I want to make sure I'm telling you guys the right stuff. Yeah, he's going to take an official visit next week, but then he's got USC on the board, Texas A&M. Out of his official visits, 3 of those schools are primary NIL schools: Texas A&M, USC, Oregon. From people I've talked to, Arrington is very interested in a bag. I don't know that there's going to be room for him, to be honest. We'll see. I personally would rather Jair Edwards. The simple fact that if Bama doesn't get Edwards, it might be Auburn. So I would rather Bama pick him up compared to Brandon Arrington. But so deals will be scrutinized. Sure, Lance. Absolutely. It's not here yet. It doesn't start till July 1st, man. That's a good question. So I haven't seen enough on Matt Ponatowski to really. He's fast. I'll say that he's very, very fast. I did watch a little bit on him. He's pretty quick. He's going to be a guy that's got to come in and kind of learn. He's going to definitely have to put on some size. He looks like he's 12. Get comfortable in the system. Learn behind some guys for a couple of years. Same thing with Jet potentially though. So I think if I was to pick personally, I would pick Jet right now. But Alabama's going to be okay at quarterback for a while. Obviously, you want somebody capable in there. I suspect Austin Mack's got another year? Does he have another year of eligibility? Assuming he does, if Keelan Russell's a starter next season, I don't expect Austin Mack to stick around. He's been at Bama for 2 seasons. He's at Washington for a year. So take it for what it is. So Kentucky is kind of my pick here. But there's only a couple of schools, to J-Beck's point, there's only a couple of schools that are seriously realistically letting him consider playing baseball and football. Bama's in the mix there. In terms of the SEC, it's Bama and Kentucky. So, the more prestigious program, I think, in both of those right now is Bama. So if that's factoring into his decision at all. But I think Jet may be a little more of a far cry than maybe we realize, and that's okay. That's fine. But yeah, Ponatowski's he's going to be good. I think he's the number 9 quarterback in the class. He's no scrub. He's definitely going to need to put some size on his frame and do some work. He's going to have to get to work almost immediately. So. Who else haven't we talked about? I feel like we've said about 1 million names, 1 million trillion names we've talked about. this weekend, last weekend. Next weekend is going to be just as crunk. You're going to have a lot of dudes. And then the big weekend at the end will feature guys like Cedarian Morgan, Anthony Jones, Xavier Crowell. It'll be really interesting that those three guys will be there on campus together. I'm really close to putting in a couple of more whoops for some folks. So, I mean, you definitely want to be paying attention. I definitely want you guys paying attention just because Bama's not done. There's going to be some serious moves made here, and I think they're going to be sitting pretty when it's all said and done. Deacon Schmidt, I believe he is still pretty much Oklahoma, man. Yeah, I don't even know that Bama's heavy in it. I think he took a visit. He was there last weekend, but he visits Oklahoma at some point, maybe next weekend, maybe he already did. I know he's going to visit Nebraska, Tennessee, and I think USC at some point. So, man, I feel like by the time he's done that Alabama visit's going to be a long, memory far away. But if Bama can get Utu and they can get Malachi Lee, that's plenty in this class for the offensive line. They signed an amazing offensive line class, even with Ty Haywood dropping out of it at the last minute. They signed an amazing offensive line class last year. I think what you're getting this year is kind of just supplemental to that. So next year will be a little different. They'll want to address some things, but I think Alabama's okay at the offensive line. All right, guys. Anything else? I'm about to pop off of here. You got any questions? I'll take a look at them. D, and see if I can't shoot him somewhere. I agree. That's what I was saying. I don't think he's as high on Alabama as we think. So, but that's okay. Bama doesn't necessarily have to have a quarterback in this class. It would be nice to go get one, but there's going to be room. So I will say this. I think Alabama potentially, let's say, how am I going to say this? So I used to feel like 10 years ago, you had the number one recruiting class, number two recruiting class, and then you had everybody else. Like the number one and number two classes were very close together, unless the number one class was just something off the charts. I think that still exists, but it's more like 1 through 5 now. 1 through 5, there's not a lot of difference between the number one recruiting class and the number 5 recruiting class. I think Alabama's got a legitimate shot at the number one class to finish this off. I think a couple things have to go their way. They have to get Griffin. They have to get either Jet Washington or Jaira Edwards. Cedarian Morgan and Xavier Crowell are must. They're going to need to pick up another 5-star somewhere else. I think that they will. It's very possible that Bama finishes this thing strong. But again, you've got a ton of verbal commitments coming up. Those are one thing. Getting those verbal commitments are one thing. Holding on to them until signing day is another. Especially when the season starts, kids start going to games on the weekends. They're sitting in the crowds. You screw up and bring in recruits as Florida. You screw up and bring recruits in on a weekend that your team loses or gets embarrassed. It's, I will say, I also think that when Bama, I think Alabama is going to surprise a lot of people who are kind of maybe still going, I don't know yet. Nick Saban's not there. I think that tune will change a lot once the ball starts down in Tallahassee. Well, guys, that's going to do it for me. I'm going to go spend the rest of the evening with my family. You guys are fantastic. Thank you for stopping by and talking recruiting with me. It's one of my favorite things to do. Keep in mind, I don't know everything. I'm not in every recruit's ear. I don't talk to all of them, but a lot of what I do is kind of a analysis, looking outwards and then, reading, talking to people I know, things like that. So I can always be wrong, and that's okay. That's the nature of this thing, especially nowadays. Everything's fluid. So thank you for stopping by. We absolutely love each and every one of you. Roll Tide as always. Yes, AK. Jay Sports Card. I think Bama's in the driver's seat. It's gonna, he's gonna take the rest of his visits. He will commit later in June, I believe it is. I think Bama's in a good spot. We just got to get through that Texas visit, man. If we can get through that Texas visit, we'll see how it goes. So thank you for sticking around with me. As always, say your prayers, read your Bibles, wash your hands. Bighorns down this week. Beat Auburn and LSU and Tennessee too. Roll Tide.